Hello there. Welcome to my continuing series of looks at the UK and USA remakes of each other's shows. I thought it was about time to look at a TV show that proves we Brits are not immune from making bad remakes of US shows either. On Sunday the 5th of April 1987, a new sitcom premiered on a relatively new network, Fox. That show was called Married with Children, and was a flop, ranking at number 142 in the ratings. It was not enough of a flop to be cancelled by the channel though, for a few different reasons. Firstly, Fox didn't have that many shows in production that they could be picky about, and secondly, they weren't nationwide, so there were several places in the US that could only watch Fox on grainy UHF channels, and several more where it just wasn't broadcast at all. The show starred Ed O'Neill as Al Bundy, one of life's born losers, a star of high school football forced into a shotgun marriage to Peggy, played by Katie Segal, and unable to ever achieve those school days heights, as he now works as a shoe salesman.
I've been a 7 since I graduated from high school.
Well, these are 7s. The box says 9 because, well, look, lady, you're a 9.
To support his wife and kids. Peggy was equally as depressed to have ended up with Al as he was to have ended up with her, as she is a lazy spendthrift with a huge libido that Al has no interest in satisfying.
Let's have sex.
Wait a second, Peg, didn't we do it last month?
Yeah, but let's finish it.
Their kids, Bud and Kelly, are played by David Faustino and Christina Applegate respectively, and while Bud starts out as a bratty kid, he grows up into a socially inept outcast as the series goes on, while Kelly remains a stereotypical dumb blonde, although in the first season she isn't as dim as she becomes.
I checked up on this guy and I know he's not doing too good in English.
Well, Kelly.
Well, what?
It seems her IQ goes down as her skirt length goes up over the course of the show. The rest of the regular cast are made up by the Bundys' neighbours, Marcy and Steve Rhodes, who are the antithesis of the Bundys. But Marcy is friends with Peggy and hates Al, while Steve generally gets on with Al. In later series, Steve divorces Marcy and she marries Jefferson Darcy, making her Marcy Darcy. The original concept of the dynamic between these two sets of neighbours was to pitch a working-class, somewhat trashy family against these middle-class conservatives, but this evolved as the series went on to more closely resemble a battle of the sexes, as Marcy and Peggy joined forces against Al and his friends.
Tonight's broadcast of The Masculine Feminist has been commandeered by the secret society No Ma'am.
The show got more popular with each season and lasted for 10 years. Over 12 seasons and 263 episodes. The show was unapologetically offensive to late 80s, early 90s sensibilities.
You don't know the first thing about politically correct behavior.
What does that have to do with obnoxious fat women?
And as a result, a woman named Terry Rakolta attempted to lead a boycott. This backfired spectacularly as it drew attention to the barely watched show and helped its rise in the ratings.
Terry's one-woman letter-writing campaign succeeded in getting advertisers like McDonald's to pull spots from Married with Children, but her initial success has turned to disappointment. The show's ratings increased dramatically following all the publicity, and if the show itself changed at all, it probably slid even further into the realm of bad taste.
Peggy became a gay icon for her outlandish style and went on to inspire countless drag performers, while Al became a hero to schlubby guys everywhere. It suffered from people not quite getting that you were supposed to laugh at Al, not with him, but not as far as the ratings were concerned. Perhaps as a reaction to this, as the show continued to go on, it got progressively weirder and more surreal, becoming almost experimental in some episodes, roughly from season 4 onwards, with one episode featuring aliens visiting the Bundys to steal Al's dirty socks, and another in which the family dog becomes human for an episode that sees the Bundys turned into monkeys. It was never a big hit in the UK, broadcast as it was, irregularly and late at night, but that didn't stop us from trying our own remake in 1996, just as the US version was coming to an end. Married for Life, as it was retitled, starred comedian and actor Russ Abbott, best known to UK audiences for his long-running sketch show, as the renamed Ted Butler. It only lasted for 7 episodes, and with good reason. The reused plots from the first 2 series of Married with Children, before that show had really established itself, and it made very little attempt to change the characters for the UK audience.
Oh, I thought you were seeing Debbie tonight.
I was, but her dad caught me and broke my binoculars.
I thought you had a date.
I did. Did you have a nice time?
Yeah.
Who was you date with?
HMS Invincible.
So it gave us characters that people couldn't relate to, in watered-down versions of plots recycled from the original show's weakest point, and which were nearly 10 years old by this point, which resulted in a bland and forgettable series that no one liked and even fewer remember today. Unfortunately, this somewhat lazy and poorly thought-out approach further cemented the idea that remakes of foreign shows were always a bad idea, although, as we are discovering and will see more of as time goes on, this is not always the case. Thank you. Goodbye.